Radio, where we share what's hot. We never really talk about what's really not. Keeping you in touch with community, self-consciousness, and unity. It's the Virgo Voice.
Hey, everybody out there in Chi-Town, it's the Virgo Voice. And we are here on Raw Talk Radio, where we share a little bit of what's hot and less of what's not. And I'm your host, the Virgo Voice, and we have lots of exciting guests joining us today. But first up, in our first lineup, we have the fabulous Sarah Ware from the Ware Report joining us today. And today we've got a cool lineup, Sarah. We've got you in the building, and we also have our wonderful guest, Reverend Dr. Mary Bruce, that's going to be talking to us about some exciting things in terms of how we can get inspired and how we can work on motivationally being able to follow through. So we're going to learn about that a little bit today. But before we get started, hey, it's February 1st. How are you? Can you hear me, Sarah?
Good morning, Miss Jackie. How are you?
I'm doing great.
I can hear you as usual.
Well,
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, you can never miss me. My voice is, is big like my heart. So we're excited today. It's February 1st. As everybody knows, it is actually my favorite time of the year. I hate that it's only relegated to 1 month, but it's Black History Month, right? And it's an exciting time for African Americans to highlight and showcase all of the essence that it is to be a minority and to be an African American historically, and the contributions we've made to society. And there are many. But I know that during this time of year, it also opens up opportunities for people to want to explore, what they can do historically, how they can make change, how they can promote change, how they can be the change they want to see. And part of that filters into your world or your realm in terms of what people are doing and the new trends to really make their mark as African Americans. So what are we seeing, Sarah?
So thank you for the introduction and the opportunity to have me on your show, because you're always talking about something that's trending and topic. So you did touch on a point that's very relevant in the real estate world, because I'm in the real estate world. But Black History Month sparks a lot of emotions about people when they go to corporate America, how, you know what, I'm tired of doing the same mundane thing from day to day. And I'm sure, I think that kind of sparks some of your interest, because you have a wealth of information, Jackie. It's all in your bottled up here. But I think in Black History Month, I think we start thinking outside the box. And unfortunately, we do that just for February. So we just want to make sure that people are doing this. But the way it ventures off into the real estate world is people are thinking some way, either it's a change of career or doing something different, or just saying I always wanted to. Because I tell people I feel like I'm a politician as a broker, because I always get the question, I know somebody, or I always wanted to do real estate, because people sound like people. So in my mind, if you just sparking a little bit of opportunity or something you want to do differently, if Black History Month has to spark that, then I am all for it.
Yeah. I mean, whatever it takes, that's what it's about.
Right.
I am really excited because I've heard some things, rumblings, and I know that you are the expert on this. So I'm hearing that, with the new year, it's bringing on a lot of excitement, and then it's bringing on a lot of anxiety. So statistics and analysts and specialists are saying that we are potentially entering a time of recession. Yet to be seen, but, quote unquote, a recessionary period. And so lots of people have been chiming into the show and texting me and saying, hey, can we ask the Ware Report, what that means for being able to buy and or sell real estate? What do we want to talk to them about?
So we got, let's look at the big picture. So from a recession, the R word, and it's really not a bad word, because when you look back in history and markets, they always go up and down, up and down. We did have a time where we just went further down than what we wanted to, because we went higher than we traditionally want to go. So we have economists talking to us in our provision all. So we actually just had someone talk to us about the market and what's going on with it. So the problem is not so much people are in the market. It's more of what the message. And there is a recession-like type of thing, but it's depending on the market that you're in. Luxury homes are taking longer to sell as they always have. Homes that are moderately priced with the market um, that ebbs and flows in the $200,000-$300,000 market in the city of Chicago. That market is somewhat solid. Suburban markets have some challenges based on taxes. So when you talk recession, you have to dial it down. Where are you talking about? It's not, you know, market wide. Some Chicago markets, as you know, are different than others. So when you say ask that question, when you're talking about the market and the recession, it's all relative to where you're looking. So it's, you know, you have to be kind of somewhat careful of where we're directing people.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad you said that because I'm hearing people saying, "Hey, I know we're getting in a recessionary mode. I want to save everything to help me do that. I need an extra revenue stream," and they're looking at real estate, you know,
Yes,
and so yeah, so thoughts
extra
there.
money. So I'm a big proponent of not saying extra money. I just want to make money, no extra to it. Just make money. So but I think that's a great thing to get into. But look at it as a profession. Excuse me. And so there could be some opportunities to fill some gaps. I mean, maybe not calling it extra money, but filling some gaps because we see the Airbnb market has taken off, and that's a form of real estate as far as people renting out their houses. Remember, there was a time when you don't get in car with strangers and you don't let anybody, you don't open the door for anybody. Now we let people in our house, we jumping in strangers' cars. So we just kind of
Yeah,
evolving with the times of
yeah,
what the market and technology has put into us. But as a real estate professional, I'm just noticing the changes. And we just actually, within the past year, the real estate license was for people 21 and over. We just lowered that to 18. So all you have to do now is either have a high school diploma, GD equivalent. So back in the day, it was you needed to have your kids go to college. That was a must. That could be something like, you know what, let me just try real estate. When you're 18, 19, by the time you are 30, you could be a multimillionaire because there's unlimited amount of income in that. So we see that shifting. But on the flip side, I see a lot of I'm on the board of directors, and so we get reports that's showing there are a lot of younger people jumping into this profession, but the years 1 to 3 is when they are entering and exiting the market very quickly. So we just have to caution against that.
yeah, and that kind of follows the trend of the kind of the millennial madness. They kind of start something
Yes.
out. In my world, used to be in the career development, we could see a person's resume. They only have 2 years on the job. It's like that person's unstable or they're no tenure. But millennials have
Yes.
kind of made that acceptable. So same thing kind of falling through with the real estate. They get in, they're like, oh, I made whatever amount of money and I'm out. Or,
Right.
I'm going to wear the tie. Those are the new
Right. Or
exit things.
or they want to get it on the investment side. So you just get it on in either side. So it works for it works for those that make it work for them.
Yeah, and that's the truth about it. So talk to us about what are we seeing trending? I know we got a lot of things happening on the home front. Cannabis, there's so much happening.
Cannabis is the new, I don't even want to know, but that's the new buzzword, the new hot word.
Hmm.
And I just say, take it from this standpoint. There's nothing different about cannabis is that it's legal to buy. If your boss did not want you to, if they drug test you at work, they still can drug. If they didn't allow it on your apartment, it is still relevant. So just know that although it's acceptable to purchase legally, that may not give you a right to just say, "Oh, this is my apartment," But because in leases they have a thing called quiet enjoyment of others, so that falls under the quiet enjoyment of others and how you can um, interrupt that with your cannabis. In
Mm,
addition to that, I am a pet lover. I don't have a pet, always had pets. I'm not sure if you have a pet, but
I do.
everyone is going around getting these certifications saying I have what is it, an emotional support animal.
Yes.
And so there have been cases like there was one girl, she had a pig that she went online, bought a certificate, put the pig in first class, and people are just abusing it. So as of January 1st, there's a law in Illinois that passed that you have to have some sort of relationship. So, those that, I mean, I know people that have emotional support animals, and they tell me that they can just go get their doctor to write something up. Now they're putting the onus on the doctor. In addition, in Chicago, they're trying to figure out, like in Woodlawn, there's a lot of development there with this Obama library coming. Even though before Obama library was coming, there was a lot of development on the South Side. They're looking at ways of affordable housing to get people in those markets, keep people in those markets. I mean, some of the things that they're proposing are a little, I would say, I don't want to say crazy, but it's not a well thought out plan in the city of Chicago. Like, they're saying that one policy change that may come that they're looking at, if you, Jackie, have a 12 unit or more building and you want to sell your building, you have to give them notice, give the tenants notice, which that my clients never talk to the tenants when they're selling the building, because I'm usually, that's something that they don't want to share.
Yeah.
In addition to that, when you get an offer, they may have there's a waiting period that may have to come in if tenants organize an association and say, we don't want to move from the building yet, we want to organize an association to try to buy it. So you have an offer you need to close in December, then a tenant comes in, an organization comes in and say you need to wait about 30 to 45 days to sell your building when you have a willing and able buyer. So this affordable housing, between affordable housing, cannabis, those are two buzzwords that people are really trying to figure out. And so just kind of stay tuned for those on the market. Interest rates, they're still down. Good time to buy. From a standpoint of professionalism, there are a lot of people entering the market, people of color, and they're making this their primary business. I know that I may have said things to say that it may discourage, but I think that people need to really look at parents need to look at real estate. If your child, that's probably a $1,500 investment for the year that says, what, let's just try this out. But from an investment standpoint, from your college bad route, and then from the costs, because for $1,500 you have children, how many credit hours can you get with $1,500 in a traditional college? Maybe a half or one.
You got like two classes, half a class.
Right, exactly. And so you can become with this full-fledged career if they're passionate about it, because I've seen some young people, they're really doing some great things with technology, podcasting, getting the word out, and just doing some really hot things that can get them going. Because I am looking into starting a scholarship. I'll keep you posted on that for real estate, just because it has afforded me to do a lot of different things. And so I'm kind of looking at what you do and things that you're doing with young people. And I think we all need to mentor up, find our next leaders, especially with things that's happening. And when it comes to profession, I'm in real estate, your profession, I think we just all need to reach back and just kind of educate people, but know that the glitz and glam on the TV that we all see with everybody running around, like they may see you, oh my God, Jackie's doing all these great things, but the behind the scenes, just being willing to put in the work behind the scenes, like what it took for you to put this together. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of things that we all don't know, but you're, hey, good morning, you're always like that, but just having that positive energy, because people will feed off of that and want to kind of be a part of that.
Oh, absolutely. And my call to action for Black History Month is not just being Black and just reminiscing on the essence of what others have done, but I'm really big on being the change you want to see in this world. Like you just said, you said it beautifully. They've got to move up. Yeah, this is our time. Black History Month, everybody should be looking at how they can elevate. Not to emulate what others have doing, but looking at how they can elevate.
We shouldn't wait for a month to do it.
That's right. It should not be. February is just another month in the calendar. It is not the essence of Black people, but for whatever reasons, whomever started it, however it got going, it's become the mainstay. I welcome it, because at some point we lose sight of who we are and the essence of what we can become. So at least this month triggers it, but I'm waiting for the time in which we're able to just make it a consistent habitual routine of the way we look at life and how we are elevating, constantly giving back, and being the essence of just, amazing African-American individuals. But, only time will tell. So, yeah, what's on the agenda for today? Outside of this fabulous engagement in our show. Are you hearing me, Sarah?
Now it was delayed. Hear that last question.
I said, so what's on the hot agenda for today in the world of the Ware Report?
So I am, as you see, I'm in my car. I'm on my way to my nephew's last soccer game. So I appreciate you doing
Yay.
a schedule check so I can attend it. Grocery shopping. I have a couple of client things because we know tomorrow is a national holiday, Super Bowl. I do not work on that day at all.
Mhm.
So I'm getting and sun in about 2 weeks. So I'm excited to even put on some sunglasses. So I have a bunch of running around to do. Stop by my parents. And so it's kind of like a family day because I'm not going to see them tomorrow. So I am and some work, of course. Life of an
Well, absolutely.
entrepreneur.
The life of an entrepreneur. Well, as always, we are so excited to have the Wear Report join us. It's always an exciting time, and we look forward to having you join us on the first of next month, where we'll hear more exciting things from Sarah Ware with the Wear Report. Have a great Saturday, Sarah.
Thank you, Jackie, and you two and have a great weekend.
You
Go
too.
Kansas City.
Go. So this is like my favorite mellow jazz. People didn't know that I'm a jazz enthusiast, Miss Mary. How you doing out there? Let me get your mics on. Unmute your mic. All right. All right, ladies. I'm a jazz enthusiast, so we just got to let this play out for a little bit because it's my thing. It's my thing. All right, and we're back with the Virgo voice, and we've got some new guests that have joined us, and we've got some other callers that are chiming in. Hey, Miss Deidre, Teddy Gilmore, and Shatana, our soror in the building, Miss Mary. I'm so excited, and we've got special guest, Reverend Dr. Mary Bruce, author extraordinaire and public speaker, and we've also got another testimonial special guest from Carmen Polk. So we're welcome to the Raw Talk Radio Show. Well, we're missing our wingless angel, my brother from another mother, again this Saturday. Busy weekend going into the weekend. All kinds of special events leading up to Super Bowl Sunday. But we are so elated to have you guys with us. Welcome. Welcome. Can you both hear me pretty well?
Happy to
All right. All right. Excellent. Excellent.
hear you.
Glad to have you guys with us. So, Miss Mary, for those of my viewing audience that don't know you and know about the work that you're doing and know about the book, maybe you want to introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about the book and why we brought you here today.
Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. Mary. Very excited to talk to you about my work on the art, skill, and spirit of follow through. I was inspired to write this book because when I looked back at my life and I looked at my accomplishments in earning my PhD and earning my MPA degree and getting ordained in the African Methodist Episcopal Ministry about 20 years ago, I thought, what is it that has kept me and me and even my traveling to different countries on the continent of Africa. I put pictures in the book of all of the places that I've been on the continent of Africa to encourage people who read the book to follow through on those places that they've always wanted to go. So it's because of the follow through that has gotten me to this point in my career where I am today. And many people have told me, I'll start something and then I won't finish it. And I didn't even want to be pigeonholed to a particular topic when trying to discover who my audience is, because the range is so vast. And I just want to help anyone that wants to follow through on what they've been putting on the back burner. I want to help them push it to the front burner, Jackie.
I love it. I
That's
love
what
it.
I'm all about. And I also want them to listen to the unction that's inside of them saying, really done, really
I
make that
love it.
call that we have to do, that we feel that, that itch to hurry up and get it done.
Yeah, I love it, and it's so prolific and profound to have you on the show for the beginning of the new year. I was glad that we were hoping to get you on our January show, but I know both of our schedules were hectic. But having you here at the first quarter of the year is really impactful for me. People are now making their New Year's resolutions. They're thinking about what reality looks like for the year. They're planning and preparing. I shared with the Ware Report earlier that we are at a time, it's February 1st. Many African Americans are looking back in history at the essence of what we've done. But many are utilizing this time to look at what they can become. And like as Sarah just said, to lift, to elevate, to become more, to do more, which is very timely. So the essence of being able to follow through on some of those aspects will be key. So can you talk to me just a teeny bit about what follow through looks like and what the essence of this is, because we know the term follow through, but in your realm of the book, what's follow through about?
Okay, so I want to, since this is Black History Month, and I've just been focusing on the soldier, Fannie Lou Hamer from Mississippi. And I just want to excuse me for looking at the quote for right now. You can pray until you faint. Once you and to do something is not
W-
in your
We're losing you. We're
love
losing you
that.
a little bit, Mary,
That is
because you're not into the mic.
follow.
Mary, we're losing you a little bit because you're away from the
Sorry.
mic.
You
We're
can
losing you because of, yeah, you need to be like right into the mic.
I'm okay. I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we had lost you for a second there. Yeah, so
Okay.
you were sharing with us a poem. The essence, you may want to just tell us the essence of it.
Yes, I was sharing with you Fannie Lou Hamer's famous statement. You can pray all you want, but unless you get up and do something, God is not going to put it in your lap. And that is the essence of this follow through work. Not only do
Mm,
we have to get up and do something, as soldier Fannie Lou Hamer said from Mississippi, we have to do the thing that bothers us in the middle of the night, whether it's that phone call. That's the difference between this work, Jackie. It's different from procrastination. Procrastination is like needing to do the dishes, needing to clean the house, and it's just another task. But the follow through work that I'm involved in is doing that that's a part of your life's purpose.
mm.
And that's
Yeah,
that's what this work is about. And we know those things. Some of us say we don't know what I was born to do, but I argue that we do.
yeah. I believe that things don't just happen, they happen just. My kids in my program hear me say that a lot. I believe that the path that we are destined to have, it's there, it's out there in front of us, and it's what we decide to do with it. And our ability to follow through with it is the essence of which that we become. And I think a lot of people just don't know how to do that. Follow through is a critical mass element of being able to raise a winner, being able to manifest yourself on the job, to get promoted, to do many things. And I think, a lot of people really lose sight of how to go about that. Are there any tips, without giving all of the essence of the book, maybe one or two tips that you might recommend?
Sure. Getting support is important. The barriers that really prevent individuals worked with from following through. Those are time involve feeling that you do not have enough money. Some of those barriers involve time, feeling that you do not have enough money or resources. And I talk about you can out doing what it is that you feel that you are called to do and you really want to do, but you've been not following through on that. You've had difficulty. You've been putting it off. And so I talk about getting a support team, talk about sharing those obstacles with other people, and then finding an accountability partner who will hold you accountable and those things down. Also talk about I vision board. Um, I don't want to call them parties, but sometimes we call them parties so that they will sound fun. But I believe that there's power in the tongue. So I help create safe spaces for people so that they can speak their dreams. And once we put those dreams and visions out into the universe and the Holy Spirit has its way of hearing our voice. So
Yeah,
those are
absolutely.
some tips. That's more than two, Jackie, but that's a lot for people who are on to think about whether they buy my book or not. I'm hoping that this conversation would ignite individuals to get started. Just take one step toward that thing that you know you've been putting off.
I agree. I love what you said about the accountability partner. I've had that. And people think that, it probably is not in the least likely source. Some people would think that it might be Andre, which is my spouse, or my mother, or even one of my best friends, Nikki. But I have found accountability partners in some of the most unlikely sources. Sometimes when people are too close to the circumstances or too close to you, accountability kind of falls off the radar. But I've been able to find accountability in some of the most unlikely places to help keep me on course with the things that I want to do, whether it be, manifesting this live broadcast segment, or, running Midwest College Project, or any of the things that I've chosen to do with my career trajectory. And I think that that's really important. Is there any advice that you could give to individuals that are looking to identify who a good accountability partner might be?
Yes, I think you should think about someone that you can trust with your dreams. A lot of
Mm,
times I find that my clients are afraid that someone's going to take their idea, afraid that they're going to tell someone else. So trust is a big deal with this dream work and
absolutely.
vision work. Someone that you know wants to lift you up and not fail to lift you up.
Yeah, that's vital. I mean, I think if nobody takes anything away, who you trust with your dreams, who you trust with that content, trust is a big thing. And I think that everybody could take a life learned lesson from that. I've had that happen where I've shared, when you're an entrepreneur, you're a dream person, your mind is ever evolving. You barely can sleep because you're always thinking about the next greatest idea, the next greatest thing. Many people don't understand that are not truly entrepreneurial in spirit. So when you have that spirit feel, that God-given initiative, those gifts that He's passing my way and passing through me, oftentimes, you want to share, you want to play that out with someone. And, you're right. Finding that person that you can trust to share those dreams with is oftentimes a big barrier. So we've got some special guests that have joined us, Carmen Polk and Ellis Clark. So we're going to take a quick second here. And I know we've got Micah Coleman also said that Reverend Dr. Mary's book and group has been instrumental in my follow through of my career development and life goals. And like Micah, there are many individuals that are learning and growing from the book. And so we want to give the title of the book is what again, Mary?
It's the art, skill, and spirit of follow through.
The art, skill, and spirit of
Skill and
follow through.
spirit of follow through.
Absolutely. That's a picture of the book. So for those of you that are just now joining us or joining in, at the bottom of our screen, you'll see where it mentions Reverend Dr. Mary Bruce and her website, followthroughtoday.com, where you can go there, as well as Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and other places, and purchase copies of the book. But what I'd really like to do now is it's always great to hear about how we should follow through, hear about the essence of things, but to really have some real life testimonials. So I'm going to shift gears here with our audience and bring on special guest Carmen Polk. Sorry about that. And Ellis Clark and Mary, I'm just going to power you down here for a quick second, but I'll bring you back in.
No problem.
And welcome, Carmen and Ellis. How are you?
Well, how are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Carmen, I have Mary's been sharing with me some of the awesome experiences that both you and Ellis have gained from the essence of following kind of like the tutelage of her book. You want to share with us a little bit about yourself, how you came to the book, and what it's actually done for you, Carmen? Let's see. Your mic might be muted. Okay, now I can hear you. Nope, still not yet. Can you hear me now? Still can't hear you. Headphones are probably giving you some kind of issue there. Ellis, you want to go ahead and talk while we wait on Carmen to get her mic up?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So, Reverend Dr. Bruce is my aunt, my father's sister, and I've just always been really inspired by her essence and her spirit and the way she goes about every project she tackles. But this one I think was really special because the book came out in a time in my life. I was in the middle of high school and not really sure of what I necessarily wanted to do next. I had a lot of ideas, a lot of things that I was considering when I was thinking of extracurriculars, when I was thinking of different academic paths, starting to think about college and what the next steps might be. But I couldn't find it in myself to commit to anything. I didn't know if there was any sort of anxiety there or something, but the idea of changing so much so soon really just, I guess it scared me, but being able to read her book, kind of seeing how she went through the process of following through herself in creating this book and in inspiring all of these other people, including myself, to follow through in their own passions, kind of made me lock down more on my goals. So while she was writing the book and while I was kind of getting sort of the preliminary taste of being her nephew and getting to see some of the things that she was doing with it, it enabled me to actually make good on the fact that I started a nonprofit a couple of years ago, but hadn't really figured out which direction I wanted to take it. And in sort of going through the principles of her book, I was able to figure out, okay, I want to focus it based on like youth in Detroit and education and making it so that more people have access to college. But without being able to, I think, define that and put it in scope, that's what the book showed me. And being able to then kind of apply that to my own life. And now I go to Brown University and have been able to apply it to all the different things I'm taking on here and being like, okay, what is your priority? What are you going to actually do? And by limiting the scope of your accomplishments and the things you want to accomplish, I found that according to her book and really being able to put it into practice, you can accomplish all the things you want to do so much more easily and also with a much better thoroughness. So yeah, I mean, it's been absolutely great.
So it sounds like it was more or less like a roadmap, a
Absolutely.
blueprint.
Absolutely. The testing initiative is what I launched under my Ellis Clark Foundation. And what I love about it is that it felt like at the same time that I was testing the idea of the idea of having all of these kids from around Detroit meet and learn about what was the best ways to increase everyone's standardized testing skills. She was testing out the book and testing out what worked and what didn't inside the book. And I felt like we were on the same kind of track together of testing things out and making sure that we both followed through. So yeah, it was definitely a roadmap. And I really love being able to kind of experience that with her.
So, Ellis, I have a question for you because it's always wonderful to hear from young minds and how they process things. Because getting people to obviously go back to reading books
Yeah.
is a challenge,
Yeah.
to say the least. Getting people on board with um, consistency and developing a routine, because it sounds like you were steadfast in
Yes.
your approach. Once you started it, you're like, I'm going to follow this roadmap and get it done. What led you to be able to be consistent, to have that regimen?
Oh goodness. I think that you know, it does have a certain thing to do, I think, with the drive. So if you want something, I do believe that you are going to figure out some way to get it. But it's also, I think, about being flexible. And I think that the book does kind of stress that there is flexibility within your follow through. It is an art that you do have to learn over time, and that you do kind of rely on your spirituality and your faith and everything to kind of persevere. But sometimes things don't go as we plan. I know
Yes.
that when I started the nonprofit, it looked kind of different than how it ended up being. But being able to adapt through those changes, starting the college search and being able to adapt, and just going, I think, from from point A to point B to point C, and knowing that the road might not always be straight, but being okay with that, I think is crucial to being able to get to that C, D, and on down to Z, if we ever get to a Z.
If we ever get to a Z. So
Yes.
you represent the exception, probably not the rule, where young people are very I won't say there's a level of uncertainty. There's a level of fear and anxiety about what the future holds. So
Mhm.
the ability to stay consistent and follow this and be
Mhm.
okay with the bumps in
Mhm.
the road, or the
Mhm.
twist,
Mhm.
gets to be challenging.
Yeah.
And so you seem to have mastered that, because most young adults, when they start to get the bumps in the road, it's like, I give up.
Very
You know,
true. Very true.
I give up. And so
Yeah.
you've done a kudos to you. I love the fact that, Dr. Bruce has really created something that is, something that a young person, of somebody of all ages, can embrace this and find
Yes.
some aspect of it to be able to be, look to find value, to be able to make change in their life and be able to follow through. So kudos to you. And
Absolutely.
thank you so much for sharing your story
Yes.
with us this morning. I know it's early on a Saturday morning,
Thank
and we
you.
were
Thank you.
worried we might not be able to get you on, but I'm glad that you were able to join us.
Yes.
I'm going to bring Dr. Bruce back on, and pop you out of here, Ellis, and then we're going to hear from Carmen. Carmen, is your mic back up working yet? Still can't hear you.
Oh. Well, thank you
Okay,
so
now,
much for having me.
all right, thanks so much. Carmen, can we hear you yet? I still can't hear a thing you're saying. We can't get sound out of Carmen. I don't know what service she's using or what have you, but if we can get her back on, great. If we can't, then my suggestion is that, Mary, if you want to share a little bit about Carmen's journey, that would be
Okay.
awesome for us. We can get her
Okay.
back on.
Okay. All right. Well, can you hear me, Jackie?
We hear you perfectly fine.
Oh, great, great, great. So I'm just so excited to be on your show today and to talk about the book, and to also mention that I'll be speaking at Blue Island Library on February 19th from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I realized that the book is more than a book. It's more than a roadmap. I've created a movement. Me and God. We've created a movement in terms of helping people do those things that they have anxiety about moving forward with, that they feel stress and fear. And I talk about fear in my book because fear is an issue that really can hold individuals back from actually taking that first step. And that was what the follow through support group was all about, that Micah Coleman mentioned. She was a participant where I held a group of about 12 women. We would meet at my home monthly, and it would just create, it was a safe space. And I also teach other people how to create support groups for themselves with people that they trust, so that they can utilize that that power of the tongue that is discussed in scriptures, that there is power when we speak that we want to come into fruition in our lives.
Testing.
And
Yes,
that's
we can
something
hear
that I
you.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, that the power of the
Follow through
tongue. Yes, that
on
follow
trying to
through.
make it work.
That's right. Before we get Carmen to share her story, you mentioned something I think is valuable for our listeners. I just had this. I was going to take part in something on Monday, and I put a message out to my little girl chat that I have with my sister circle, and I was sharing with them that I was going to be engaged in this, and I was saying, "Oh, I hope I don't mess it up." I didn't use exactly those words, but I was worried about it. And immediately my best friend chimed in and was like, don't speak that into existence. Watch the tongue. And it was like, some of the other ones chiming in was like, absolutely. I think people take that for granted. I think it's like, oh, what a cliche, or, oh, here we go with some religious, aspect or element. But words are mighty. And I do think that they can, impact our lives in ways that we least expected, both positively or adversely, depending on how we do it.
Yes.
So you want to share us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm glad that you talked about both sides of what we say, particularly that self-talk. I think when we feel that there's something that we know that we really want to do, and we hear it coming from the spirit within us. I also talk about quiet time in my book. When we hear that there's something we want to come into fruition, just speak it. There is a scripture that says, "Call those things that are not as though they are."
Mm,
Anyway,
yeah,
and
amen to
that's
that.
of the so if you want to go back to college, say I'm going back to college. If you want to get married and you don't know where that individual is, just claim it, speak it. Ask other people to pray for it to come into fruition in your life. These are the things that really work. And I spoke about the vision board briefly, but find images of what you might want to look like with your weight or with your style and clothing. Place those images up in your view that you see it every morning, and begin to just speak and live those things that you want to achieve. It doesn't matter if you have the money. It doesn't matter if you have the support. It has to do with, do you believe? And I sign my book. Every time I sell a book, I say, I believe in you. Sometimes people need someone to believe in them, just to help them with believing in themselves. And no
Hmm.
matter how spiritual some of us are, or all of us are, sometimes we have doubt. And I like that saying, Lord, help my unbelief. When I'm in that space of doubting myself, or just filled with fear, help me in this space and help me to speak what it is that I want to come into fruition. And I have talked a lot about this with Carmen, and I've seen her practice these techniques in her life, and I've seen things come true in Carmen's life.
Carmen, well, we're glad to have you joining us. I mean,
Thank
how
you.
timely a segue. We want to hear about it, Carmen. So, talk to us about how the book and the practices have impacted your life.
So I right now, if you all don't know, bullet journaling is really popular.
Hmm.
It's a method to kind of track your goals, your aspirations, and I found that a lot of the things that I've learned within follow through from Dr. Bruce's book have really enhanced my bullet journaling, which is all meant to just make sure that your dreams, visions, and goals, come into fruition. And I've been able to like build accountability with friends, bring them over. We do vision boards, been able to use the tools that are within the book um, in my own home. I have my own vision boards listed above my bed. A lot of them have come true. Where I've been in, then some that haven't yet have come true in their own ways, and I've been able to kind of keep that in the forefront of my mind and build upon that as the years have passed. Um, but a lot of things have been able to come to fruition, whether it's been from college to my own passions, being able to see them day to day, kind of reinforce what's important to you. When there are those days where you're just not sure, is that something I really want to do? Do I really want to go into healthcare? Do I really want to travel here? But it reinforces it when you have it on paper. And then have the support and that accountability partner to one, enhance and tell you, this is something, the person that you trust, this is something that you want to do and it's possible. But yeah, those are a couple things.
The bullet journaling. So I'm not as familiar with that. So is that something where you get is it a booklet that comes where we put bullets in it, as a sequential thing of things that we want to see and we're checking them off like a checklist? Or explain it a
Yeah,
little
it's
bit.
a mix. It's a mix of things, and I would say it aligns with the book as with Dr. Bruce's book. Very, very, in the part where it talks about writing things down, writing your goals down. So, tends at the beginning of the year, as a bullet journaler, I write down what are my goals for the year, um, and I also track like tasks or things that I do on a daily basis. But they're all those little tasks have to really align with those big goals of the year.
Mm,
So that's kind of, people get really excited with colors and really fancy drawings and things, but the bottom line is to be clear and intentional about what your goals are.
yeah.
And I would also say one more thing that's really helped is the quiet time. Dr. Bruce mentioned that quiet time is something that's within the book. It's something that I've really wanted to push this year as well, is taking at least 15 minutes of just every morning and before I go to sleep, sitting and just trying to listen. Um, and I think she can speak on the difference between quiet time and prayer. But
Mm,
but sitting and just trying and thinking about what's going on in your mind, what's running, and just being in the present moment. That's also helped a lot with framing what's important to me, and how I'm feeling,
yeah.
which can really impact how you follow through with things on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yeah. I think quiet time is something that we all find challenging to carve that out, in our day, because it's just like we're constantly moving, and at some point we don't give it until it's forced upon us, where you've got to do it. It's like I'm in the hospital or I'm sick, and then you're kind of reflecting with God and yourself about, why didn't I just stop? I've made it part of a ritualistic thing for our household and for myself, that, everybody needs that quiet time. When we first come home from work, it's not about the TV, it's not about the cell phone. Especially when my spouse comes home, it's not about me hanging up. Hey, girls, I got to go. Andre's home. It's really about, we need that moment to kind of settle ourselves, settle our mind, be one with God, but one with ourselves, and relax and hear what the next steps should be, order my steps. And I think it's important. And so many people, whether they're married, single, millennials, Gen Zs, they don't give themselves that time. And that's why the execution is off, because you kind of rush out there with things, because you haven't given yourself time to think, and just to be, you know. Mary, you want to speak to that a little bit? Because I'm getting in a sermon mode here.
Yeah, I am so glad that Carmen mentioned that quiet time. What was so interesting to me, Jackie, is that it doesn't matter if it's 1 minute, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Sometimes I guilty of thinking 5 minutes. I need to do it for 3 minutes. But one time my time was so tight until I only had 1 minute to go in. And I usually sit down in my closet and I get grounded on the floor, and I put my hands on the floor and I draw energy from Mother Earth. That is one of the things that I do I just want to get grounded, and I
Mm,
breathe. And it
yeah.
is different from prayer, because prayer is a conversation with God. Quiet time is not in conversation. It's more,
Mm,
if anything is happening, it's listening is happening. Where I get quiet, I breathe, and what happens for me is I'm able to hear and my steps get ordered by the divine. I hear what my next moves ought to be. And it's not coming from my head, it's not even coming from my heart. It's coming from the one that created me. And that is
Mm.
why, and I believe that same is for you. And that is why I really advocate this quiet time, particularly when I hear clients say that they really don't know what it is to really and follow on just confused. At the beginning of the year,
Just a little feedback issues on Mary's end. I think Mary's mic and audio might be a little off.
it's coming
So
back
we get a little
now.
bit feedback. So it
Can you
has, it
hear me
came back.
now?
And so you were
Yes.
ending. I can,
I
I
was
can.
yes, what I was saying is that um I believe that everyone knows what their purpose is for fulfilling here on the earth, and sometimes it just requires for us to get quiet and hear the Creator's voice remind us what it is that we were created and purposed to do in the earth, and that comes, I argue, in the quiet time.
I love it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. I mean, the whole essence of what you're doing. We've got to get a vision board party going. I know that we have plans set forth in place for you to come out next month with Midwest College Project families. But we're going to invite some others out. We've got a pretty large space at our office there in Hyde Park, where you guys can come on out and we'll maybe do some vision boarding, ask some questions, and talk about the essence of what it means to truly follow through. I talk about this a lot. I don't necessarily refer to it as the follow through, but it's the essence of it the same when I'm working with young people in their ability to get to be in a position where they feel like they really, parents have felt like they've raised a winner, and for students to feel like they can meet and reach and attain the goals that either they set for themselves or that parents have set for them. And I think the biggest struggle point with getting to that is their ability to follow through. You know, going to college, consistently getting good grades, consistently studying, your study habits, consistently practicing, you know, safety, consistently practicing prayer while away at college. You do it at home, you go to church when you're away, and then when they get to college, it's like, oh, I'm in college, you know, finding that home that you can pray in at home while you're away at school. You know, finding those opportunities and being consistent has been a struggle. Excuse me. And so I implore, you know, anyone that is interested in their ability to be able to follow through, have someone be a support vessel for you, um, to hear different strategies, excuse me, and to be really able to um, aspire to some of the things that we want to do for this year. It's Black History Month. Why not? So we're going to be giving some more information about, my goodness, what that looks like and what date that's going to be actually held in the coming weeks. So I ask you guys to stay tuned, be following our page at Virgo Voice Radio Raw Talk, and to learn more about it. I implore you guys, oh, excuse me, having one of those days, to go to www.followthroughtoday.com to learn more about Reverend Dr. Mary Bruce and the work that she's doing. Find out where her next speaking engagement will be held, or the events, or where to purchase the book. And is there anything else you'd like to share with our listening audience?
Yes, I'd like to leave you with one of the final chapters in my book, which talks about asking for help. You know, sometimes I think we try to do it all by ourselves. And when we feel like we're stuck and we're unable to follow through, some of us are just not humble enough to say, hey, I need help. And so I
Yes.
end the book by talking about the art and the skill of asking for help, because we
Mm,
are a body and we all need each other. The head won't turn without the neck, and the arm won't move without the shoulder. So We are a body, and I think when we all work together, then we're able to move not only our agenda, but the role that we're to play in the world has an impact on society and on our communities. So it's not only about me or you, Jackie, or you, Carmen, or Ellis, fulfilling our individual. It's about what we then contribute to the community and the world. I
Yes.
just got back from Ghana sharing my talents, my skills, my gifts, and my spirit with Accra, Ghana. And I care about my ancestors and where I am a descendant from. So not only do I work in the United States, I go and I serve and I give of myself to the motherland. And it's
Mhm.
because I followed through on my dreams, my visions, and my goals. And then I'm reaping, I'm harvesting the benefits of that work. So I just want to encourage everyone, Jackie, let's take step one. And you can do it with me by coming to my speaking engagements. I do one-on-one, I do groups and trainings. I love this work. It's my ministry, it's my love. And I'm here to support anyone that would like to do the work.
We love it. We love it. And we're here to support you. As I mentioned earlier, before I kind of got lost in my words with this allergies, this weather's changing. I'm telling you, we plan to have Reverend Dr. Bruce come out and do a workshop with the P network of families, and we're going to open it up to the public so some other people will be able to be invited out and to partake. You'll be able to learn more about this by following Raw Talk Radio, a Virgo Voice Radio on Facebook. And if you have friends or family that would be interested in learning more, as we mentioned earlier, you can go to the website at www.followthroughtoday.com to learn more about the work that Reverend Dr. Bruce is doing. And Carmen, I just encourage you to stay steadfast in your follow through. You sound like an amazing young person, and that you're doing the things that you're calling out to do. You're fulfilling your goals and achievements. And I think the essence of it is make it habitual. Stay the course. You know, we want you to stay the course because we need more young aspiring women. This is in the spirit of Black History Month. We want to look at opportunities where you can take the vision that Dr. Bruce has shown to you and figure out how you can spread it, how you can lift and elevate someone else. So that is going to be my call to action as we end this show today, is for us to take these words and figure out during Black History Month, not so much that we pay homage to those African Americans that have made monumental contributions to society, but that we also become that change, you know, that we become change makers, and that we uplift ourselves to find ways to spread good news, stay steadfast, and be able to follow through on our own goals so that we have more historians and that we become part of that history. That's what we really are looking for. We want to become part of that history. So I implore you. I thank Ellis. I thank Carmen. I thank Reverend Dr. Mary Bruce. I thank the fabulous Sarah Ware for coming out to Raw Talk Radio, joining us today, sharing such foundational, monumental messages. We thank our viewers. Deidre, we wouldn't be remiss if we did not give special soror Mary to our soror, the fabulous Deidre Wood Stokes. She's going to be
Oh,
joining us.
Deidre, thank you. So glad. Deidre has my book.
Yeah, Deidre's awesome. We're going to be doing some amazing things to continue the knowledge and education surrounding human trafficking out here in the suburbs with Deidre, and we're going to be doing some fabulous things with outside organizations. God's will, from the one event that we hosted, now we're in partnership with the city and the city of Chicago to do a girls summit and a variety of other things that have come down the pike to be able to encourage, empower, and breed awareness for our young women and men here in Illinois. So it's some exciting things, and my expectation is that I will follow through. And so
I
with
know you
that
will,
said,
Jackie.
I just want to thank you guys for coming out, and until next time on Raw Talk
Thank
Radio.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
With the Virgo voice.
Great show. Great
Thank you.
show. Great show.
Virgo voice. With the Virgo voice. Rock radio, where we share what's hot. We never really talk about what's really not. Keeping you in touch with community, self-consciousness, and unity. It's the Virgo voice.
Bye-bye. Till next time.